is history. I'm pretty comfortable in who I am as a person, but I think it also in the age that we're in now, it's a lot more accepting, at least like in our generation, which is pretty great. So I don't think being Latinx is as hard as it was back then, but there are still some differences that we can learn to embrace, but also just to keep in mind of other people. Um, how about another question? How do you think your Latinx identity collides with school life or your future aspirations?
I personally don't think it really collides with it much. I feel like Latinx is very important to me and it will always be important to me. So for my future aspirations, I kind of want to show, who I am, where I'm from, and not just like have it held back. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, it does. I think from being in a highly like white area, sometimes I forget to embrace that part of myself just because, I mean, I guess maybe it's just me being young, but I'm very observant of the people around me. Like if there's like like the culture, I guess here. Um, I'd say I've always been pretty free with with my future goals. My parents they never put the idea that I needed to be a doctor or a lawyer or anything. Um, and I think what I want to do is like from learning from our mentors here at Latinitas, how they want to uplift the Latinx community. That's something that I forgot that was possible with. I forgot that was a possibility that I could have with my future job, which is most likely making animation films. And hopefully, maybe I could have like Spanish voice actors and English voice actors because being bilingual, I think if you're Hispanic and you're born in the USA, depending what generation you're in, you might speak Spanish. My dad speaks Spanish, but he didn't speak that much to me. That's something I kind of wish he did, but I think being Latinx and having that freedom is pretty great.
I agree.
Hmm. Wait, what does that mean?
Um,
Oh, okay. Um, what's another topic that we could bring up?
how close are you with your heritage?
Hmm, I mean, I have a lot of respect for music. Like when I see a mariachi band, I have great adoration for the musicians and pop culture that has risen from being a Tejano culture. Like Selena, she, I don't know if you've heard of her, but she's a pretty great singer. And I think that probably made me feel a lot closer to being, I mean, Mexican in general and living in Texas. Because, I mean, in a way, she's very similar to me because she grew up having a Mexican family, but also being born in Texas. And English was her first language, but she grew up singing in Spanish, and that's kind of what developed into her speaking the language. And then going to Mexico and seeing the contrasts from where she was from and where her family's from. And I think pop culture helps me stay connected to my heritage, like through music. I think that's probably the only medium that really helps. Even in Spanish class, it's not that Spanish class is it's a I'd say the teachers don't really invest in culture that much. It's mostly just plain language and just reading. But I'd say I'm decently close. Not as close as I wish to be, but kind of close. What about you?
I feel like being Latinx is a very big part of who I am. and I feel like it would always be, as I said, but there's just some things that feel different to me, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Um, like every Sunday, I eat tortillas with my grandma. It's become a tradition and something that's dear to me. So my heritage will always be something very important to me. And even though I feel different sometimes because of it, it will still always be very important to me.
Yeah, that reminds me, when I was really little, um, my grandparents and like lots of family would watch me. I'd never had a stranger babysitter. That still creeps me out that some people are babysat by a stranger. But anyway, my grandma would babysit me when I was 5 while my parents were working, and she would make tortillas, homemade tortillas, and they were always amazing. But as I got older and I ended up moving, because originally I was born in Beaumont, Texas, but I moved here like around, I guess, 3 years ago. And I didn't get to see my grandma as much on my dad's side. And I cherish those memories of cooking with her. Um, and also, she would watch the telenovelas, and like, turns out that was just a thing that I guess like I wouldn't have really known about, that there were Spanish programs without her watching them. But yeah, I think having grandparents is an amazing thing, especially just cooking with them and being able to learn so much from them. And yeah. Um, what else? Oh, I heard myself for a second. That was weird.
Okay, hi. Thank you.
Hi.
It was amazing. Thank you so much. So, can we wrap it up here?
Yep.
And okay, so can you say goodbye to everyone who is listening, and then we can go to the next group? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for listening. I'm Gabby.
Bye, I'm Emily.
See you later.
Okay. Can you remind me which topic are you going to talk about?
Yes, we are going to talk about how to deal with isolation. So how to deal with quarantine.
Okay. Okay.
Hey.
Hi.
Okay, so bienvenidos todos. Welcome everyone. I am your host Carla Martinez, and this is my co-host.
Daniela Rangel, hi. And this is Alone in Isolation.
So, what are you doing during quarantine right now?
During quarantine, I'm just enjoying being at the house and not having as much responsibilities. I'm having a good time.
So I'm glad that you're having a good time during quarantine. Because right now I feel like there's really nothing to do, you know, how it is.
Which is a good reason why we're talking about it. So like, what are you good at? What have you been up to?
So I like drawing, so I've been trying to improve that and work on it. I've also been on the computer and coding. I've been on many websites that I can use to code and learning, and so that's kind of what I'm working on right now. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing during quarantine.
It's really good that you're taking the time to really, enhance your skills and like, to get make the most out of our time. And so, like, what do you think the whatever you're spending your time doing on now has in your can like benefit your future endeavors?
So I've been working on how to draw anime because I really love anime. So I'm hoping that maybe I could animate and so that way I could like either make my own animation series or help someone else with theirs. I would also like to work for Disney because I'm a huge Disney fanatic. And so I was hoping like maybe when I'm older I could help them with either like stories or like the animation characters, like the creation of a new movie.
Yeah,
So
totally.
that's what I hope. Um, so what do you do? Like, what do you enjoy doing? And maybe other people can relate to you.
I was just gonna say like it's really cool that you know what you're doing, what you're doing, and what you want to accomplish in the future, and you're really trying to work on that. I don't really know what I want to do, so I just like enter all these different workshops. Like I just attended like a comedy writing workshop, which was like really fun and interesting, getting to see the formula behind it. But I also just like very small tasks and just having being very calming, like cleaning, and then you're listening to like Harry Styles' new album, Strain Fine Line.
So so you're a very active person in doing this. Does cleaning calm you down, I guess?
100%, especially since I'm stressed because I have to study for the SAT. Like I have a countdown running on my laptop all the time.
Oh,
So, but it's really nice again listening to Fine Line.
well, good for you. I hope you ace it and you got this in the bag.
Thank you. And then as you're entering your freshman year, like best of luck. But also like I just hope you get the most of your freshman year, even if classes are online.
I hope so too. So I'm a freshman, or I'm going to be a freshman, and then you're gonna be
A rising senior.
so you're almost out of school.
I'm kind of excited, but the real world's scary.
Yes, it is. Just give it a few months to, rest in you, and then I think you've got it.
So, what's next? What's next for you?
Um, really, I guess not that much now that I think about it. I did want to join this drama club, like out of curiosity, and because I'm apparently to my parents I am very dramatic, like very dramatic, for the littlest reasons too. So I was just like, I really don't have anything else to do. Why don't I join the drama club? Sadly, since quarantine is now here and stuff, or it's been here, so I haven't been able to do that. But I hope to do some other stuff with the computer, online, and see what I'm really passionate about. And yeah.
Yeah, and what's great is, I mean, as we wrap up, I just wanted to say that we're just giving you some ideas on what to do, to beat boredom, but also really take the time to care of yourself, like really, we don't have to participate in hustle culture and be working nonstop. Just enjoy yourself and enjoy the time.
Yeah, this is a time to regroup yourself, figure out what you want to do, what you like, research some more stuff, and, just take it step by step, and, you got this. So, yeah.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
I was like, didn't know if I did this right.
Yeah.
Oh, he's supposed to go. Oh, at least. Okay. So I'll just go ahead and start going.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a misconception going around that all Latinx people are the same, that we all have the same origin story, the same culture, and the same life. And these misconceptions can be hurtful. when Donald Trump said all Mexicans are rapists and drug dealers, it invited a wave of ignorance about what it means to be Latinx. So we're here to talk about what it really means to be a Latinx teenager in Texas in hopes to fight that ignorance and to build some more connections and build some more unity. With that being said, I'm Jackie Ibarra.
And I'm Isabella Isari.
And we're joined by Roxanne, who cannot speak on the mic right now, but she's here with us. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started.
So we have a few questions just to tell us and you, the audience, about our experience being Teen Latino in Texas. First question is, where in Texas do you live?
I'm from San Antonio, Texas. What about you, Isabella? Where are you from?
I'm from Austin, Texas, more specifically the Round Rock area.
And how does your family look like?
Well, I have my mom and dad, and I have one younger brother. And we all just live together. We don't have any immediate family nearby, but we have many in Mexico, many spread around like Florida, New York, all that. And I have like an aunt and uncle and a couple cousins in Dallas. So
awesome. And what are your roots? Like, where's your family from?
My father's side's from Puerto Rico. Most of them has moved out since then. It's just having like couple like cousins of cousins still staying on the island. They're the ones who are usually spread out across New York and Florida and such. And from my mom's side, she's an immigrant from Mexico. And most of my immediate family is in Mexico.
Oh, cool. The same. Most of my immediate family is from Mexico, just different parts of it. Like we're all spread out through Mexico. And my grandmother immigrated to the United States when she was having when she was starting a family. Well, she had a few of my uncles and aunts in Mexico, and then she came over here with my mom, and thus bringing our family over here to the United States. So do you have a large Latino presence in your area?
Well, our area is really mixed. There's a whole lot of different presences. We do have a large one in my school, but in terms of neighborhood, I don't see a lot of Latinos in my area.
And my side of town, there's a large population of Latinx people, predominantly Latinx. But again, my city is very segregated. So depending on what part of town you go to is depending on how many Latinx people you'll see. So the next question is, do you feel like you are a part of the Latino community, especially being a teenager?
Well, I'm kind of like, mixed between two different like Latino communities, Puerto Rican one, Mexican one. That has ended up with me being kind of different from both, because a bit of a mashed culture. I know both, they have like slight differences in language, like, bote basura, zafacón, that stuff. And so, I don't know, I kind of feel like I have a foot in like three different worlds sometimes. And, you never are entirely part of one. You're just more like a mix of many.
Yeah, for sure. Like Roxanne says, our other co-host, she says not really. She says that she doesn't really feel like she fits in. Sometimes it's like you try to be someone else to fit in instead of being your Latina self. I go to school. I'm from San Antonio, but I went to school in Austin, and it feels kind of. I understand what you're saying of not like sometimes I don't feel Mexican enough in Austin, but then I come here and I don't feel. Well, I'm more Mexican in Austin, and I come here and I'm not Mexican enough. So it's kind of hard to feel like I belong anywhere. So I definitely understand the parts of two different worlds, and not really not that I don't understand, but not that I feel comfortable, because I always feel like alienated from either one community or both communities. So that can always be kind of challenging.
Adding every teenager seems to like, have an idea that there's like different selves. Like I feel like everyone has that where you act different among certain people. And yeah, at one point you characterize as something, hey, this is my more American attitude. This is my more Mexican attitude. This is my more Puerto Rican attitude. And some of like the Latinos I know, hey, I know like a couple like from Venezuela, a couple like from Brazil, Costa Rica. It's like a mix, and then they're also like telling, hey, this is like my Venezolano person, or this is hey how I act when I speak with Mexicans, and I'm just like, yeah, it's same honestly. You just act differently around different people.
Yeah, and also like it doesn't help when there's like we're talking about these misconceptions about um where we're from. Like there's instances where people will ask me if if I'm even from the United States. But it just depends on the community, like you were saying, it depends on where you're going. So like in Austin, it was like that was like a lot of questions I got in my job was like if where was I really born, and am I a citizen, and all this like stuff like that. But I come here and questions it's like, oh, do you even speak Spanish, or are you even Mexican, or oh, you're whitewashed, or you're this and you're that. So it's like, but also these misconceptions, it's just something that can be hurtful, especially when you're growing up, because it's like identity is a big part of who we are, but it like it's hard to want to be like, I don't want to say proud, but it's hard to like feel comfortable in the skin that you're in when you don't even know if you're allowed, or if you have the right to be calling yourself something. So definitely that's a big part of this episode or this podcast, is to talk about that and talk about those differences and how we all have our own different stories. Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, in addition is that it's not just us feeling that way. Everybody feels that way. From like my super extroverted brother occasionally gets some comments, hey, you look like a Mexican. Hey, you don't look like a Mexican. Oh, I thought you were, I don't know, Filipino. Someone once told my mom that. So yeah, or just not everybody feels comfortable in their own skin. But sometimes you could find people who look at you and they're like, you're part of my community, you're Latino like me. So there was a girl who looked exactly like, not exactly like me, but she basically looked exactly like me. She was like, hey, you're Puerto Rican too. And I was like, oh, thank you. Well, yeah. So
Okay.
I'm saying that you're not alone. You could find your place. And this is a podcast that was made to establish that where we all have our own stories. We're all different. And we're still one big community of Latinos.
Yeah, and with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and end here, and that this podcast was made to establish that every Latina has their own stories and have different backgrounds. Thank you very much, and we'll end it right here. I think we can go ahead and leave.
Yeah.
Very good?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey everyone, my name is Tony Marie Gonzalez,
Hi, and I'm Manise. I go by Bree.
and welcome to our podcast, Quarantine Days. Today we're going to be talking about some quarantine tips. We'll be breaking it down into 3 parts: how to stay productive, or how to stay brain active, how to stay entertained, and how to stay active.
Right, so we can get started with talking about, the basic stuff, like what quarantine is like for everyone. Obviously, most people are indoors, locked in their houses. I know some teenagers have just been shutting themselves in their rooms because they don't want to talk to anyone. But what we mainly want to do is to bring forth some tips on, how to deal with quarantine life so we don't end up like the people from Wall-E, big and in the chairs. So we can get started on ways to stay active. So what I think is really important is, not staying in your room all day, not lying on a bed. Obviously, maybe even just sitting up will really help, or maybe getting on the treadmill, walking around, because the more you stay off your feet, the harder it's going to get back on, right?
Yes, and another thing you could do to stay active is if you have a dog, you could go take your dog for a walk, or even if you tell yourself, okay, if I go for a 30-minute walk, I could come home and finish 3 episodes of that Netflix series I'm watching, kind of have it like whatever you want to do. If like you want to watch a Netflix series, YouTube, TikTok, anything like that, first have it in your mindset to go have a little workout, even if it's for a little walk, walking your dog, running, anything like that. Kind of have it like a cause and effect. Because I went to go run, now I get to watch the Netflix series I want to.
Yeah, and having that sort of system, I think, is actually really important. Maybe not doing that specifically, but that would definitely help. Just keeping in mind that, oh, so I'm going to go do this. Now I'm going to go do that as maybe a reward for afterwards. So, yeah, just kind of like giving yourself a task and rewarding yourself after is actually a really good method, I think. One of the other things that we could do is maybe not for necessarily like physical activity, but for brain activity as well. I know like myself, I am in high school, and I find it really hard to maybe keep my brain engaged because oftentimes I find myself playing video games. And when I think back to some of the stuff that I learned in my classes for high school, I don't remember much. So yeah, maybe playing like brain games or memory games, like, matching cards and, stuff like that would also really help keeping your brain active.
Yes, and it is very important to stay brain active during quarantine because most of us are going back to school, and we have to make sure we have that mentality of having we have to have that mentality of staying on task and getting things done. And just, you could do little things, even from reading a book. You could tell yourself, read 30 minutes a day, or like you could practice for SAT or PSAT, for the PSAT test or anything like that. Just make sure you stay brain active. Don't just sit at a screen all day. Make sure you're reading. Like Bree said, you could play card games like the memory game, and that should help you stay brain active.
Yeah, definitely. So those are 2 important things that we want to like, in a way, kind of like push so that people like understand that importance, because not having your brain active, your brain ends up getting used to being inactive. So it makes it harder for you to think. And again, it's the same thing with the physical stuff. The more you start laying down and eating, the harder it is for you to get up and be active. So even when you're walking around the halls in school, that's one of the main ways that teenagers get exercise nowadays. I'm not going to lie, that's how it was for me until I started working out. And I feel so much better because I've been finding it really hard to like sleep at night when the internet goes out. Just finding a time to like walk on a treadmill or even walk in place or around my house. It's really helpful and it's making me feel better. I'm getting better sleep. It has some long-term like health benefits. So that's two things that we really wanted to push. The other thing is finding ways to stay like engaged in, you know, daily life, having fun and entertained, not dying from boredom. That's something else we wanted to cover. So video games is fun. Just make sure you also like limit your time on it because it's very strenuous on the eyes. And that's why I need glasses because I spend too much time on video games. And I know I'm not the only one out there.
Yeah, and some little things to stay entertained. You could try out a new fandom, like maybe you're a Star Wars fan and you want to try out something else. You could watch movies, and since we do want y'all to stay safe because of the coronavirus, you can always get on a video chat with your friend and watch a movie through the system and everything like that. Just because you're not physically interacting with someone, you could always still have fun through FaceTime or the Netflix party or anything like that. So you can always watch movies or anything as long as you do stay, you know, active. You can do arts and crafts. Maybe you could start to pick up painting and learn how to draw better. Those little things are always fun to do.
Yeah, and I think it is also really important to keep in mind, like, you don't have to be in person to have fun with your friends. So another thing that I personally start to do, aside from like the working out, is that I started a little group for me and two of my friends. We will go online and play maybe an hour or two of gaming. And then eventually, once we're done playing the game, we normally play Minecraft. Once we are done, we get off. And then we say, okay, we are going to, we're going to do something else, like maybe do a workout session together. And it's really fun, the three of us. So, you know, just keeping that in mind is something really important. So I think that about covers what we wanted to reach out to you guys about, and just, you know, keeping that in mind, because we really want you guys to be safe out there during this whole pandemic and, you know, keep active and keep your brain active.
Yes, so that about wraps up our podcast. So thank you very much for tuning in. This is Quarantine Days signing off.
Bye.
Bye.